mother worked as a housewife, her father as a construction worker and carpenter. She saw her mother all the time, but her father was often busy, so that she did not see him as often as she would have liked. She had a sister, Dottie, and a brother, James, whom everyone called Jimbo. They were both older than she, and then there were Bill and Davy, her two younger brothers. They lived in the section of Murfreesboro known as Walter Hill. They had a garden and trees to climb. They were not rich, but they were not poor either, and none of the children ever lacked for food or clothing. It was not a bad childhood. She would never claim that she had been deprived. His first school was Fort McHenry Elementary, and from the very beginning he was the class clown. He loved to tell jokes and rib the teachers, and once, when one of them asked him a question he couldn't answer, he broke the other kids up when he told her that if he'd already known the answer, he wouldn't have been in school in the first place. It was the girls he liked to rib the most, and often during recess he'd go down to the pond and bring back a few baby frogs to scare them with. They'd scream wildly when he came up suddenly and stuck one of the frogs in their faces. It made him laugh and laugh. Like all the other children in her neighborhood, she attended the Walter Hill School from 8:30 to 2:45, then played throughout the remainder of the afternoon. It might have gone on like that forever. It was even getting better for a while. Her father had started his own construction company in 1973. He was making good money, between $250 and $300 a week. Sometimes he drank a little, and most of the time he seemed far away. But he never said harsh things or lifted his hand in anger. The drinking didn't really matter. She loved him anyway. When he was in the 5th grade, one of the teachers slapped his behind for hanging out the window, and he went tumbling to the ground. The kids laughed hysterically, and he played it to the hilt. A few weeks later, feeling his oats, he talked back to the principal, which landed him in trouble, but only for a while. The Christmas of 1973 was the one she would always remember. Her sister Dottie got a little pink Cinderella watch. Bill got an orange bicycle, and Jimbo got a little Honda motorcycle. As for her, she sat quietly and watched the other children tear open their presents. Then her father came over, sat down on the floor with her, and helped her open her presents. One was a little blonde-headed doll with a pink polka-dot body. The doll talked when the string behind its head was pulled. The box said its name was Drowsy. She never changed the name. She also got a Toda-Tune, a little red keyboard with a strap around it. It used batteries and came with a book of songs. It made her laugh when her father showed her how to play it because his hands were too big and his fingers wouldn't fit the keys. As the years passed, these two toys became her most precious possessions, the only things she ever owned with which she would not part. In the 7th grade, he started picking up girls and taking them to the pool. Other people had a tendency to show up too once they heard that he was there. It got so the pool owner would let him in free just so the other people would show up and pay the entrance charge. A funny guy, a prankster, someone with a great sense of humor, always attracted a large admiring crowd. One Saturday night in March of 1974, when she was just 9 years old, her father mounted a motorcycle and headed down the road. He'd been drinking, and he made a mistake, perhaps no more than a tiny miscalculation, but enough to slam him into the highway guardrail. He rode it for 100 feet before it spun into the air and hurled him to the pavement. When they told her he was dead, she could hardly believe it. She had always been the quiet one, but for a long time after that, she seemed to turn to stone. Part 1. Unknown Voices. Chapter 1. City of 7 Hills. Years later, remembering it all again, Ken Dooley would find it hard to believe that so much horror could begin so mundanely, with no more dramatic fanfare than the ringing of his phone. He answered it immediately, glanced at the clock, and unconsciously recorded the time. 7 p.m. "Hello?" The voice at the other end did not alarm him. It was a female voice, calm, precise, without a hint of nervousness, nothing to make him in the least suspicious. "Is this Ken Dooley's house?" "Yes, it is." "My name is Susan. I'm a friend of Sherry, your wife, from way back."